Hey everyone, welcome back to Engelbart Gaming. What you're seeing right now is the arcade version of Capcom's original Street Fighter. Yes, the very first Street Fighter. And honestly, it's not a great game. But it's a complete masterpiece compared to what we'll be looking at today. But before we get to that, soak in this arcade Street Fighter for just a moment. You can only play as Ryu or Ken, depending on whether you were player 1 or 2. It had the Fireball, Dragon Punch, and Hurricane Kick special moves, but they're a lot harder to pull off than you're probably used to. It looked nice enough for when it came out, but frankly it was so-so at best. Man, did it have some annoying music. But here's the Amiga version of Street Fighter. It was ported by the absolute masters of at Tiertex. You may remember them from the hatchet job they did on Amiga Strider, Amiga Alien Storm, Amiga Rolling Thunder, or a bunch of other games on multiple different computers. They were truly the masters at creating unplayable trash. If video games were classic art, they'd be Michelangelo. Now, if you like hot, stinky garbage video games, well, I've got a treat for you today. If I asked you what was the first sequel to Capcom's Street Fighter, you'd probably say Street Fighter 2. If you answer Street Fighter 2, well, you're wrong! Technically, the first sequel to Street Fighter is the tragic misuse of ones and zeros we'll suffer through today, known as Human Killing Machine. Yes, you see, Tiertex followed up their awful port of Street Fighter on the Amiga and a bunch of other computers in 1988 with a sequel of their own that essentially uses the same engine as their terrible port of that game, along with a few modifications to make it even worse. But Human Killing Machine gets rid of all the extras that nobody needs, like scrolling, moves, animation, and gameplay. Now, I'm gonna warn you, I have decided to be merciful and not force you to watch the entire game unedited. Yes, I know this is the first complete trash where I'm not technically showing you the complete game, but I can't envision anyone among you would have the patience to waste 30 valuable minutes of your life watching it. So here's what I'll do. I'll show you the whole first fight, and then just one round of each of the others. Trust me, it's better this way. We're going from a half hour to about 9 minutes. But before we begin, one quick note. You're gonna see me play this with unlimited energy, because I played it without it originally and suffered a technical glitch about 70% of the way through recording it. And frankly, I was not gonna suffer through that again. So I'll show you a little clip at the end where you can see how much damage the enemies do to you and laugh at that too. Alright, that's enough I guess. Join me while I eviscerate US Gold's and Tiertex's Human Killing Machine. Let's get on with it. Alright, here we are. So, first, I just wanted to show you, this is the, aspect ratio that we would see. It would only fill up a small portion of a 4x3 monitor. That's how a lot of games were on the Amiga and other computers back then. But here it is, zoomed in, so you can get a much better look at just how terrible this game is. And let me explain how the moves work in this game. You've got just a couple of them. You've got basically a few punches and a few kicks, and that's it. And of course on the Amiga we only had one action button for the vast majority of games, even though the computer was capable of more than that. And you've just seen a round end. Let me explain how rounds work in this game. They're not like a normal fighting game. Instead, you see those numbers up at the top next to the god-awful portraits of the characters? Right now there's a 5 next to Quan and a 2 next to Igor. That's how many times you have to knock someone out before defeating them. So as Quan, the only playable character in this, if you get knocked down 5 times total, you lose. That's over the course of the entire game. Meanwhile, Quan has to knock each enemy down 3 times in order to win. And this song you're hearing right now, I hope you like it, because it's literally the only one you hear during the actual game itself. One song, and it's this song, and it's not good. Do you like how the background doesn't bother scrolling? That's right, everything is one static screen in this game. So there's no scrolling left and right. You can take like maybe 3 steps backward and maybe 10 steps forward, and that's it. That is the entire play area that you get for this game. There are no special moves of any type. There is no actual gameplay really here when you get down to it. So here we are. I'm skipping the intro scenes that show you who you're fighting next. So now you can see here is Shepsky. Shepsky is, as you guessed, a dog. So this game has you beating up a dog that does nothing but raise its little paws at you. Sometimes it stands up and twirls around to raise its little paws at you. This is the level of creativity and excellence that you can expect out of Human Killing Machine. And just look at the portraits. The portraits are so hilariously bad, I just can't explain it. And here we go. Here's another background. And this time we're in front of a nightclub. I don't even know what country it's supposed to be. But anyway, this is really all you do the entire game. You just walk up to your opponent, you hold down and back on the joystick, and you just keep hitting the button to do these leg sweeps. The problem is, the control response time is so bad, and just the input reading, it won't always even pick up when you've pressed the button. And this is something that was a problem on real hardware. This is not an emulation issue. You can sit there pounding on the button sometimes for like 3 or 4 seconds while no moves happen. So yeah, great way to play. And you do have jump kicks and stuff. You will see me do some other things throughout here. But good luck getting them to either work or connect if you actually get them out. It's just terrible. And the one thing you won't see here yet, but I'll show you a little bit at the end while I do the conclusion, is that almost every enemy, when they hit Quan here, they knock him out in just 1 or 2 hits. It's ridiculous. I mean, imagine walking up to somebody, they swing around once, and you just fall over and die. Yes, that's the kind of thing that makes for a smash hit game. Oh, and also, super low frame rates that look like they're in the single digits at times. We can't just have bad input reading, we need that too. Look at her laying down animation frame. And if you look at those, they're pretty awful. Now remember, this game came out before Street Fighter 2, so they were way ahead of the curve by including a Matador character that is in what I assume to be Spain. He doesn't really have walking animation or moves, but he does have the ability to knock you out in just 1 or 2 hits, like I was saying. So remember, as I mentioned earlier, this has unlimited energy for Quan right now because I wanted to be able to show you all the fighters in this, and I had recorded it with me playing legitimately at first, but I ran into a tech issue about 70% of the way through and lost some of the recording, so I don't have the full gameplay of that one. I was not willing to put myself through doing that again, because I'd spent I don't know, close to 40 minutes on it, and I didn't quite finish the game, but I was almost there, and then it just didn't work anymore. So, that's how bad this game is. I couldn't stand to play it for another 40 minutes. Instead, I took the quote-unquote easy route of finishing it in 30 with unlimited energy. And here we go, here's Brutus the Bull, another animal that we get to fight. The last animal that we'll get to fight in this game. And you can see, he's a tough one. So, you can hit him with your spinning leg sweeps almost from the entire length of the screen away from him, or at least as close to the length of the screen as you can get. And do you like Lederhosen? Here's some Lederhosen for you as you fight Hans. Yes, we're just fighting in front of some random house here. There's no audience, there's no crowd or anything like that. No, we're just fighting in front of some dude's house because that's how things are in the world of Human Killing Machine. I should also mention that the collision detection is god-awful and hilarious in its own right. Yes, you can sit there and clearly see the animation of you punching or kicking somebody and it connecting with them, and sometimes it just doesn't do anything. Doesn't hit, doesn't register. And here we have Franz. I like that they're Hans and Franz. I guess we had some Saturday Night Live fans among the people at Tiertex. Ugh. Anyway, this dude throws knives at you. You have to be lucky and jump over them when you're playing without unlimited energy. Otherwise, I think it's like 3 or 4 of them and they'll knock you out. So it's just ridiculous, and they're random. They don't come out at a steady pace or anything. You can kind of, sort of predict a little bit. This is probably the hardest fight in the game because of that, though. And don't worry, there's only 2 left after this. And the reason I'm not showing you the other rounds is they all look exactly the same. They're all just Quan trying to either quickly, approach someone and get just within sweep range, or jumping to get within sweep range. Maybe an occasional jump kick is being thrown out there. But man, this is just truly awful. This has to be one of the worst games in history. Now here's a background. At least we've got something interesting here to look at. A tank and a couple of buildings in a city. No people, no one cheering anybody on. But instead we're fighting Sagan. And I love that his name is Sagan, because remember, this is from the team that converted Street Fighter to this computer also. They knew who Sagat was. I mean, they couldn't even be bothered to come up with a whole new name. Let's just change one letter in somebody's name. And you see all that sitting there from Quan? That was me hitting the button without him actually taking action. So that's exactly what I was talking about before. Oh, and this game doesn't have a timer, so these matches can literally go on forever. And here we go. Here is our final boss, Merkava. And yeah, much like the other enemies in this game, he doesn't put up much of a fight. If you can get him pushed off to the side just a little bit, you can leg sweep him forever. And sure, he was big, but he also had almost no animation like every other character in this mess of a game. Alright, so let's see the great ending to this game now. Come on, human killing machine. That's it. There is none. It just brings you to the screen where you can type in your initials. There's literally no more to this than that. What an awful experience. Alright, so there you go. Just about all of Human Killing Machine. I can't even adequately describe what a miserable experience this game truly is. It's so awful, and probably the worst game that I've ever featured in this complete trash series. The real cream of the crap. Aside from being terrible, it barely even works. These days, it's absolutely not worth booting up in an emulator even, unless you just want to be horrified to the very depths of your soul in ways in which you could have never imagined. Human Killing Machine has zero redeeming qualities. It looks awful, it sounds awful, it plays awful. Hell, I'm pretty sure that this game must have murdered Bruce Wayne's parents, and Peter Parker's Uncle Ben, and Wee Huey's girlfriend Robin, and Tony Stark's father. Man, this game got around. Long story short, don't waste any more of your time on Human Killing Machine than you already have by watching this video. It is the epitome of complete trash, and for some, may just be the final piece of evidence they need to prove that there is no God. So tell me, have you had the misfortune of playing Human Killing Machine before? Is this your first time seeing it today? Let me know all about it in the comments. So that'll do it for this video, my retro gaming friends. If you enjoyed it, please like and share it online somewhere. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of my videos. If you want to support the work that I do here, you can do that on Patreon, Ko-fi, or right here on YouTube through channel memberships and super thanks and things like that. With that, I'll say thanks for watching, and see me later.